Hey guys, and welcome to MisUnderstood podcast. It's me, Brandy.
Me, Melissa.
And so today is going to be a serious talk. We're going to be talking about our life story. This is episode 4. So come hang out with us. It's a rainy day and there's not much else better to do. So not further ado, let's get into it. This is the timeline and everything. I'm going to tell you how we're going to talk. So, we were born, and 3 years later, my parents died. It's been longer. She knew them for 6 years, because we're 3 years apart. So we were born, then our parents died, then our aunt and uncle got us, and they thought they were doing something right, by trying to get us adopted, and that didn't work out. Then they got us back, and then we went to the children's home, and then we just would go back and forth seeing our aunt and uncle and stuff like that. So I don't really know much about when I was born and up until I was 3 years old when my parents died. She could tell you more about that. I can't really say much because honestly, guys, I do not remember them, and that's okay. I grew up without parents. It bothers me because I would have liked to know what being a daughter to somebody was, someone's kid. I would have loved to know what parents were, but I didn't get that opportunity. And it doesn't bother me that they're gone. I feel like they're just people that gave me life, and I got to go about my business because I don't remember them, and I mean, that's okay. But I do wonder sometimes what it would have been like to have parents. I do walk around and see other people and their families, and, I always wonder. But it doesn't bother me so that they're gone because I never really got to know them. But she could tell you more about it than I can because she was around longer than I was.
When they were alive, we used to hang out with my mom's sister and brother-in-law, which they live in Hillsboro, Texas.
Don't remember.
Hung out a little bit with our mom's side of the family. They live in Hillsboro, and our mom's mom, which is our grandma, we called her Nana, she was around a lot when we was younger. Our mom's parents were around a lot. We called them Nana, and when I talk about, say that we did stuff with them when they were alive, we would vaguely sometimes go here and there, go on vacations a lot. Like the Flintstone amusement park. I once remember going to the Grand Canyon. Then another time we went to Dolly. I don't know, y'all know Dolly. She has an amusement park called Dollywood. I vaguely remember that because I had bought a souvenir from there. It was a pink and black wallet. And all I remember was walking over this bridge and there's water underneath it. And it was a beautiful scenery sight to see. And all I remember is Dad telling me, you better be careful, you're going to drop that. And it had a little handle on it where you can put your hand through and hold it on your wrist. I was little, didn't think of doing that. And I did drop it by accident. And we're middle class people. We know how to take care of our stuff, but we didn't have the money, like everybody else does, to go get another one. I do vaguely remember before they died was the Flintstone amusement park. We went there, took pictures.
I only remember because of a picture. And it's just our mom and dad taking a picture with Fred Flintstone. And then my dad's holding my hand walking up some stairs. And Melissa's in front. And it's only 2 pictures. So, I don't know.
Back then, our mom and dad, it was back in the 90s. Our mom and dad didn't really take pictures like that. And the pictures we do have, I think our Nana and Grandpa did, because with major events in our life when we was younger, our grandpa always had a video camera. And even for like Christmas, major holidays, he would always take videos on those with the old-timey video cameras that you can stick a VCR tape in. I remember that. We do have a brother. We don't really hang out with him or see him because he lives like 4 hours away.
Plus, there's things that happen.
Things happen when we were younger, and
there's a lot of stories, and he says, she says stuff that I don't know what exactly the truth is.
We don't really talk about.
We don't really talk about it, but catch my drift. He did something to my sister, and
CPS was called, and
yeah, till this day, it's still awkward.
Our mom was inside cleaning the house, and we sat at the table, and my mom just flat out said, "Hope we never get in a wreck." That bothers me still till this day. It's like she knew, and God was telling her. Because there for a while, when our mom and dad, before they died, they would always talk like, what if mom dies? One of us will still be there. Or what if dad dies and mom's still here? It was like, now that I grew up, it's like our mom and dad was telling us, and God could have been showing them their time was coming. And they died July the 7th of 2001. And then after that, our aunt and uncle gets us. We go to a hospital in Waco, Texas. And when we're in there, that's when all paperwork, judge, they're all talking or whatever, because our aunt and uncle found a person, and their lawyer.
They became our guardian.
That's when they became our guardians. Our mom's sister that lives in Hillsborough, they were supposed to. That didn't work out. Our aunt and uncle fought. They didn't get full custody. They got, what's the word?
They got full custody.
They did.
They just became our guardian.
Our legal guardian.
Then my aunt was working. She was a nurse. She was working with this lady. And she was saying that this lady had a daughter that wanted to adopt. And
yes.
My aunt put it upon herself to say she had 2 nieces. And
our aunt sued.
You don't tell a kid it's like camp. You're going to camp. You don't do that, because I was there for 14 years. You don't stay at camp for 14 years.
You just don't.
And the home was good to me to a certain extent, but you had to do exactly what they said. What they say goes.
Yes.
They controlled you.
There's
You could do this and you could do that, but it had to be their way. Everything was a liability. We couldn't have trampolines. We couldn't have jump houses. If you had a jump house, only you could be in it by yourself. That ain't fun. Every little aspect that we did was controlled. We didn't go there because we were troubled kids. We went there because our aunt and uncle was trying to do what was best for us. And I appreciate that. And rest in peace, because they're no longer here. Rest in peace to my aunt and uncle. From my point of view, I had times where it was very hard for me at the children's home. I always argued, always fussed at my house parents. Didn't really like any of them. I did have a set of house parents that I did like. I don't say anyone's names because I don't put nobody out. If you are watching and you know who I'm talking about, then you know. Or if you just know me in general, then you know. I didn't really like any of my house parents. I had a really hard time there because all I wanted to do was talk back, and you know, I could say I was a troubled kid because I lost my parents, and I feel like some of my anger and how I acted growing up in the children's home, it was probably out of spite that I lost my parents, and I just was an angry kid. Till this day, I am still angry about things, but I have learned to not be so angry. I've learned to let things go. Yeah, so I was at the home for 14 years, and it was a struggle, but it also was, I don't know, I guess you could say it was a better thing that happened to me. My aunt and uncle did try, and we did go on home visits to go see them. We would go on vacation with them. We would always go to New Mexico, my all-time favorite place. Loved getting cherry cider. We also hanged out with my aunt's son's family. He had kids, and that's who we hung out with and who we know. We didn't really hang out with our dad's side too much. I mean, or our mom's side. We just hung out with our aunt's son's kids. And looking at that now, I really feel like being in the children's home and us not being with family, I feel like nobody really wanted us when we was around. And I'm starting to see that now that we're adults. I feel like my childhood was a joke. I would come on home visits and we would hang out with my aunt's son's kids. And now that we're older and my aunt and uncle are gone, it's like they never wanted us in their life. And it's like, who are these people we were hanging out with? Like, I literally made bad decisions and bad choices and was with bad people and just did bad things when I graduated in 2017. And she graduated from Dallas from the Ebby house. We both made bad decisions, and I thought I was doing right by coming home at the end of 2019. We started living together again in 2020. Thought we were doing right by coming home to family. And let me tell you what I told my sister. I pretty much said after the wedding, because I got married in 2021, I pretty much said after the wedding, I was cutting everybody off. It took a minute because I really wanted to see how things were gonna pan out. I invited my cousin's kids, which is my aunt's son that we're talking about, his kids and all of them, because that's who we hung out with. We invited them and all that good jazz. And, well, needless to say, they didn't really seem like they cared about my wedding. Even after when they pushed me away because I guess they heard we did wrong and they didn't want me around, saying that they didn't feel comfortable with me in their house. And this is Thanksgiving. I came back right before Thanksgiving of 2019, and they were saying that. And my aunt's son's wife that is now, that he's with now, like I say, I don't say nobody's name or anything, because if you know, you know. Anyways, and I was talking to her because it really hurt me that they didn't want me around, and it was Thanksgiving. They said that my aunt could come over and all this, but they were like, we don't feel comfortable with her coming over. And I'm asking my cousin's wife, like, why are they thinking that? Why do they say that? And she's like, I don't know, maybe they heard me talking or something. And I said, you don't talk about personal information, especially something that is very, like, I just made bad decisions, guys. It's very personal on, I did drugs and I was with bad people and just running around, and I came back home because I thought I needed to come back home to family. I need help. That didn't really work, honestly. My family, I'll just flat out say it, they don't give a shit. They don't care. And it's very sad because I struggle because I don't get help. Thinking that my family has my back, they don't. And all she was saying was like, well, I guess they heard me talking. I said, you don't talk about stuff like that personal. And she's like, well, families talk. And I'm like, well, my family doesn't do that. It wasn't for anybody else to hear. And till this day of me making bad decisions, I don't know how to talk to people because I feel like they're going to go run and tell that. What goes on in my life, I don't tell nobody no more. If you watch my YouTube, that's how you're going to know anything about me. I'm real raw and try to be myself on my podcast, on my M&B vlogs, and it's all on the same channel. So y'all just have to look at one channel and then you can see everything. But I've struggled with trusting people anyways. The whole time I'm making bad decisions and stuff, people would find out this, or I would get people I don't even know talk mess to me. Or when I was with this guy in the very first place, when I first graduated, I would get people telling me stuff about him, and it's like I didn't want to listen. And I have trust issues now because of all that. And going back to me making bad decisions, one thing that the home, and don't get me wrong, the home is great, but listen when I say this. The home is great, and they do teach you how to clean house, how to be a housewife, I guess you can say it. Because you clean, you cook, you do your own laundry. You learn how to be on a schedule, how to do things. They even teach you how to make your own appointments for doctors or your dentist or vision. I mean, they teach you stuff you need to know. But where they go wrong is they teach you fantasy. How to be a good old little housewife, and you clean your bedroom and you do your laundry. They don't teach you reality. That's where I messed up when I graduated. I should have went to college, and I got mixed up with the guy. And that happened for like 2 years when I was with that guy. But before that, I was just running around with any which guy, and it didn't really matter because I was trying to find love, and then they didn't want me or whatever, and I would always think that I'm the problem, I'm the issue. No, it was them. Looking back at it, but they don't teach you reality. And that's where we messed up. And
home is very, very, very sheltered.
the home was very sheltered. They didn't teach you nothing like they should. And going back to me dating around, when you come home to family and you tell them because you want help or you think you can trust, my cousin's wife, she talks mess on both of us. I thought I could trust her. No. She talked behind our back, and she could tell you more about some things that happened to her. But like I say, we don't say nobody's name. If you know, you know. She would talk mess on us. You don't tell my sister that we should have did it the right way and got paid to be with these guys. Let me tell you something. She said that we were pretty much both a hoe. And first of all, if you're going to call me a hoe, you need to get the name right. Because if you're saying we need to get paid for it, that's not a hoe. It's called a prostitute. So you need to get the name right. And I'm not telling you all this because I'm putting my business all out there. I just want to be honest with you guys that you're not alone if you have family issues or if family doesn't want to help you. This is the MisUnderstood podcast. So everything I'm telling you guys and people talking mess and talking behind our backs, our own family, because they do. We're very misunderstood. And she would just always talk so much mess. And she still tells me some things that I don't even know about. And it really does irritate me and upsets me. I always want to confront her, but I don't because I'm trying to be the bigger person. We don't live by them anymore. We don't live in Valley Mills. We live in Meridian, Texas now. We are trying to move back home to Itasca, Texas, but that's all in time because we're trying to get closer to my sister's son, which she's going to go back and talk about a little bit when she was in the home and her experience. We're not going to talk too much in depth because we're not trying to bore y'all, but she's going to go back and talk about when she was in the home, when she went to Dallas, when she got pregnant, right before she got pregnant, and then when she got pregnant, and then when we finally ended up being together in 2020. And she'll talk about that in a minute. But we're trying to move back closer to her son and stuff to save gas. He's like, I'm about ready to find another job. And yesterday, we went over here to Meridian, which is way closer. We're in town, the business in town, everything. He has another job now doing welding where they like fix dumpsters and stuff. And I'm so blessed that they gave him that opportunity to just go over there. And he seems like he's going to be happier anyways. Let me tell you this. Don't be at a job that they cuss at you. They're unprofessional. They treat you bad. They get mad when other people don't show up. That's not your problem if other people don't show up. And speaking about jobs, I'm still working on applying, but I think what I'm going to do is just stick with what I've already been doing, and I need to pursue it. It's like Mary Kay, but it's not makeup, it's jewelry, and it's, thank goodness, Origami Owl. Y'all can go take a peek at it. I will have the link down below in the description. It'll be in blue. It'll say thank goodness Origami Owl / Blondie Brandy 23. 23, that number is how old I was when I joined. So if y'all were wondering, check it out and stuff like that. And they have a lot of cool stuff out right now. From Disney, from Hocus Pocus, Harry Potter, They just came out with some breast cancer stuff and it looks really nice. So y'all go make yourself a locket pretty soon, about probably next week or so. We're going to do a video and stuff so y'all can see what all we have on hand. But if you see something you like or something we're talking about, y'all can sit there and go on my website, type in your information, and it'll be sent straight to your house. I don't have to have it on hand. So if there's something that you really, really want, y'all can just put your information in and y'all can get it. I really like that because there's some companies that you have to order it and have it on hand. Thank goodness Origami Out is really, really simple. You go to the website, you order what you want, and it'll go to your house, and it's just real simple like that. And you can always message me on Facebook. Blondie Owl is my page. I also have my personal page. You can message me on Messenger, Brandy Glass, but I prefer you to just use my Blondie Owl page. But if you use my personal page, it'll be fine to message me if you need help with ordering or finding a piece or any of that good jazz. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is pursuing my jewelry. And let me tell you, this jewelry is actually pretty good. If you struggle with getting green, excuse me, it don't really make you green unless if you wear it over and over and over and over and over. Then it starts wearing out. But that's with anything. But I'm going to turn it over to her because I pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. And we didn't really say everything because I'm not going to go into, you know, when I did drugs and who I was with and all these boys. But one thing that I will say is make sure you are comfortable and you can trust somebody. Because nowadays, it's hard. You can't just talk to anybody because they'll blurt your information out. And I do not really talk to my cousin or his wife anymore. I've cut everybody off. I literally have my husband and my sister and her son and my stepson when I get him. But that's another problem, is I don't really get to see my stepson too much because he lives in Brady, Texas, like 3 hours away from us. And plus, we don't do anything. We stay at home. We mind our business. When we have my stepson, he has a good time. He plays outside. We try to go swimming. We'll get a pool and set it up, and he likes being on YouTube with us, and you know, we try to do things. It's just hard nowadays because everything's gone up in price, and he gets upset when his mom tries to contact him when he's over here because she tries to make him feel guilty about being over here, and he cries. And me being his mom now, I'm his stepmom. I don't try to replace his mom. I try to just help him and guide him as much as I can. Boils down to communication. And I gotta figure out if I can have kids and all that good jazz. So our life is a hot mess, and if you can relate to me, yeah. So we're gonna go back and talk about her experience in the children's home just a little bit, and what happened when she got out and got pregnant and then we got back together. Because we got back together in 2020 and thought we were doing right. But our family just, I have to forget about them. Sometimes you got to do that and move on. So.
I don't know really where to start. You said some of it, but right before I moved to the home, we was a little adopted. They tried. Shit happened, excuse my French. That's all I'm gonna say. Then it was about, after that, it was about 2003, January 2nd of 2003, when our one time, out of the blue, our aunt and uncle, I don't know what we was doing, but we was all sitting in the living room, because I remember this. They just flat out asked us, hey, y'all's lawyer we've been talking to told us about this children's home.
The judge knew
the director.
Yeah, the director of the children's home in Itasca, Texas.
The lawyer was like, I know you're getting up there in age. It's hard on y'all, probably. Y'all need help. So they went and talked, and they thought it was a nice, cool place. And it was, and it is, and it was one of the best things that could have happened to us.
We ain't dissing on the home. They were good. They just lacked reality.
And we went to the home. I went to the home January 2nd, 2003. And I was there. As soon as I went there, it was the end of my first grade year. Finished that out. And then I was still there all the way up until my senior year, which was 2024.
When did you say?
I meant to say 2014, my bad.
When did you say you were in first grade when you went?
The end of my first grade year.
I went there and I was in kindergarten till I graduated. But I got held back in first grade and I did first grade twice. I believe it was for reading. I don't really know. But yes, I forgot to tell y'all. I was in that school from kindergarten till the day I graduated. I was in Itasca school. And I also did band. And shout out to the band. They're doing good still. But back to you. I played trumpet.
I was in first grade, the end of my first grade year, which was 2003, all the way up until 2014. And I did
and that's okay. She was supposed to graduate in 2012.
When our aunt and uncle
But all that matters is we got our diploma.
When our aunt and uncle had us,
I was supposed to graduate in 2016.
Sorry for stuttering. When our aunt and uncle had gotten us, the little time that they did, they tried putting us in regular school. And during that time
in Valley Mills?
Yes. During that time frame, when we were staying with our aunt and uncle in Valley Mills, the school I was in a normal class at first, and the school had realized I needed help. So they tried putting me in special ed at the time. And their special ed at the time was not like the special ed that they have now. They didn't have enough teachers at the time. At the time, they only had one teacher in a special ed room. They could not focus their time on me like they needed to. I'm not dogging my mom and dad. They did try. When they did have us, they would always pull me out of school saying I'm sick, saying we're doing stuff. They always made excuses, and that's not their fault. They did try every which way. But when our aunt and uncle had gotten us, they tried too. And they had two before we went to the home, and we were still in school when our aunt and uncle had us. I was in 2 ARD meetings. And the last ARD meeting that they said, they're just like, because they tried putting me in first grade, move me the next year with my class like they were supposed to. And they did. They sit there and flat out told my aunt and uncle, Melissa needs help. And if you keep her in Valley Mills School, because we don't have enough teachers and enough help, we're just gonna have to move you to the next class. So each year I would be graduating, not be where I'm at today, knowing how to read, knowing how to write, knowing how to do math, knowing how to cook, knowing how to pay bills. Life does get hard. And I look back,
and it didn't help that we were the name Prosser, so they knew that our dad was troubled, and
they were just gonna do what our family did with our dad. They were gonna
pass us on.
They were gonna just do what they did
and not
to
help
me.
us. And I'm thankful that our aunt and uncle put us in Itasca. And Itasca really did help us.
When I say home and I talk about growing up,
it's Itasca.
I talk about Itasca being in the group home.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
What she just said. When she talks about home, she talks about Itasca. I don't really know if I really did that. I was thinking home was Valley Mills, Texas. And now that I'm older, why am I even saying that? Everyone has pushed us away or doesn't care about us anymore. I mean, the whole thing with... Sorry, you go back in a minute. The whole thing with me getting married, my cousin's son has a wife, and she's very sweet, very nice to us. She considers us, and I invited her to my bridal shower, and the only reason his 2 daughters, my cousin's daughters, came was because they heard she was coming. If you didn't want to come, don't come. I really felt upset about that. Going back to, I feel like my whole life was a joke. Growing up with these people that now no longer care about us. Y'all are supposed to be family.
Family, when I was in the home, I was taught family's supposed to be there for family. Stick beside your side. You do things with your family like normal people are supposed to.
Our family just doesn't get us and understand. If you just don't get us and understand us, and there's not really anything to get or understand. We just want to be loved.
Excuse me.
We just want to have friends. We just want to, move on. We don't want to keep living in the past. And honestly, that's living in the past, being around my family. And my cousin, which is my aunt's son, he always talked mess on my mom, saying she was the dumbest lady he ever met. Why are you telling me this? First off, I never said nothing, but that really hurts me. And then, another thing about his wife, my cousin's wife. Saying you're stepping in as my mom at my wedding and you didn't do anything to honor her really hurts. You didn't really ask. You just said you're going to be stepping in as my mom? Hold up. Where did you ask? And then on top of that, my aunt was on her last leg. She already had a stroke for 5 years. She asked me, my cousin's wife asked me, do you want your aunt there? And I wasn't really thinking straight because I was wanting to get the wedding over. I was nervous. I was just overwhelmed. And thinking back, I should have just said, you need to have her there. And when the ceremony and pictures are done, because we could have did the pictures with her first and then y'all could have left and taken her back home. She did not go to my wedding. I had her on a table with all of my other family that has passed on when she was still alive for my wedding. And I don't want to try to
get this, you guys. 7 months prior to this, our cousin, his son, which is the baby.
Yeah, his son got married in April, and then I got married in November, and they took her like 30 minutes all the way to Hewitt in Waco. I consider Hewitt Waco, but you know, Waco, Hewitt, whatever. And you can't even take her 3 minutes down the road because we were only 3 minutes from my aunt's house.
Yes.
And then we had to hear on the phone, because I was wondering why they weren't going up there to check on my aunt. They usually went up there and stayed up there all day with her every day. Well, I was wondering why they wasn't going up there. I'm like, well, they can't be leaving my aunt at the house by herself.
And my brother-in-law went to Bible study, and our cousin told us.
Yeah, my husband went to Bible study with the guys at church and had to hear that she was in a nursing home. So we're planning on going to see her the next day.
Yes.
No, we get a phone call the night before saying that she passed away. And it's my cousin's wife called and was saying, I feel so guilty and so bad that it happened like this. And I was like, what? Didn't even know really what to say. I'm like, we were literally about to go see her tomorrow. And it just really hurts me because she could have been at my wedding.
On top of that, with what's being talked about now, and I'm just going to flat out say it, I'm putting my foot down, her funeral, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have wrote and took time. I wrote, it might have been a piece of paper or a paragraph or whatever. I have wrote,
but she wanted us down. She wanted to talk.
Wanted to talk and say something. And whoever at the time, I vaguely remember the guy because it's the same guy that was there during my mom and dad's funeral.
That's him?
Yes. And he still works and he's still over the funeral home in Valley
why did
Mills.
he get up so fast and say,
my cousin and
it's over? Like literally,
yes.
My cousin's wife.
They both got to talk and say stuff, but after
He didn't really say nothing. She got up there and pretended to cry. My cousin's sister we were in the second row and she was behind us. It should have been my aunt's son and his wife, my aunt's daughter and her wife. Then it should have been me and my husband and sister and my aunt's son's kids behind all of us.
But on top of that,
they were all in the front acting like they cared. The whole time that they were around when my aunt was still alive, they didn't do nothing. They didn't act like they cared unless that they were in public. But my family is so fake, guys, that they're gone. I don't really deal with them no more.
But I do get.
And my cousin walked out. My cousin's sister, which is my aunt's daughter, she walked out because she knew that was a fake speech. And as soon as she was done, it's like the guy got up and was like, it's over, now we're going to eat now. And it's like the whole time that she was talking, it was just about my aunt's son and his wife. Him and her, him and her, him and her. It's like everybody only seen what they did. I watched my aunt a little bit, but she really didn't want my help because she had a stroke and she literally remembers me as a kid. So she's like, well, why are you helping me? I'm supposed to help you. My sister also helped too. And not once did we get a thank you. Have a good funeral. And on top of that, I also had mentioned, well, why was my uncles not at this church? Well, at the time, we really wasn't thinking. Like, they just didn't do my aunt and uncle justice. And they could have put their tombstone in a gravesite. No. They put it at their house. Like, how selfish can you be? Like, it'll be weird going out there, hey, can I come over to spend time with my aunt and uncle? Like, it's a little weird that they even did that. To let y'all know our life story, and that we all have issues and problems, and why are people so cruel to each other? And I'm very hurt by a lot of things that my family does. Me and my sister are outcasts, and we shouldn't have to be like that. But I'm going to give it back to her.
With all that being said about my aunt, I have experience in that line of work. When I was in high school, I used to always think I didn't like it, didn't want to do that. But you know what? I just gave in and did it because I've learned when it comes to certain things, I am very gifted. I graduated and I could have walked across the stage at Hill College. My senior year, I did cosmetology. I could have walked across the stage at Hill College, but I chose to walk across the stage at high school. I did that, and also through when I was in high school, I started out volunteering in the nursing home in Itasca. I would go up there on weekends, or even when I had extra time off my hands at school, and volunteer. I would go up there and help them pass out their meals, play games, watch a movie, spend time with the ones that, don't have family. And oh my goodness, all my residents I had in Itasca and in Dallas, they all loved me. And I enjoyed it. And when I was in Dallas, I went to school to be a CNA. And I enjoyed that. And, with me getting extra help in school, I've learned that I do have gotten better at learning and doing things when it comes to school. I second guess myself a lot, and not everybody is a good test taker. And even when I graduated, I could have gotten my cosmetology certificate, and it broke my heart. That written test was hard. And when I was in the home, I studied and studied and studied for that state board written part. I wasn't studying I was studying what I was learning in school when I should have been studying about OSHA, how they keep the salon clean, It's not my fault. I tried, and every time I tried, I would get better. I would get either a point or two away of passing. And I just gave up because I felt like I wasn't getting enough help. And the person that they gave me to read it to me, because I was able to have those extra help with that, somebody read it to me so I could understand it better. They barely knew how to say some of the words. They didn't really, she sat there, told me she didn't really know cosmetology like that, so she couldn't have really pronounced or explained it a little bit to me. But at the same time, I look back and, I tried. I did my best. I knew I was going to pass the hands-on part, which was the next part. But I couldn't do that until I passed the written. That was the same. The written and the state board test for CNA was kind of similar. You have to take your written and then take your hands-on. But I got to take my hands-on at CNA, and I passed it with flying colors. They sit there and told me I was a few points off of passing the written, and I could have went back, but I always second guess myself, and I tried. I didn't understand how to look into retaking it, so I just gave up, and I felt like I was gonna have to go do that all over again, do the classes and stuff. And I'm sure you could just set it up where you could retake the state board. I didn't understand how to do that at the time because I was in the Ebby house. And in order to be in the Ebby house, you stay there for 2 years in this program. It's for young adult women. It's in Dallas on this. It's a property for Juliet Fowler Communities, which is a residential care facility for elderly people. You have apartments there for the ones that know how to do things on their own, like drive. They can go out, drive, go get their groceries, see family, see friends. They're independent. It's an independent care facility. They have another one that's still for independent people, but they get a little bit more help because they're not as independent as the ones in the apartment. And then they have some for you call sundowners. This is kind of like what my aunt had, which is Alzheimer's, but it's not all the way Alzheimer's. Sundowning is where during the day everything's fine, but when it goes down, when the sun goes down, they don't want to go to bed. They want to stay up, stay active, doing things. And they have to be watched 24/7, 7 days a week. I went over there sometimes and would help and not necessarily play with them. I would do activities with them, like, they would have a person come in that knew how to do art. We would paint like pictures on a canvas, or we would play cards or do little activities that were fun, like bingo or something. And I enjoyed it, but when I lived at the Ebby house, I ended up getting my food handler's license. After I got my CNAs, I just, I was talking to my house mom at the time and was telling her, I want to go to school. I want to learn, But I always put me getting help in a way of everything. And if y'all know me on MMB Vlogs on YouTube, y'all see that I have tattoos. I have a tattoo on my wrist. I got it when I was in Dallas. It's called Believe. I have a hard time with my whole life believing in myself. I got that there because it's a reminder I'm not alone. I have people there that help me. But when I put me being in special ed in front of everything, I put a front in it's hard.
You put up a wall.
I put up a wall, and that's when I sit there and I'm like, I just stop everything. I did help out my aunt with a little bit before she passed. I have experience. I've been in and out of nursing homes and stuff. I have seen a lot. And not only that, I've seen a lot that's happened in and out of nursing homes. I've also seen a lot of stuff in my life. I have been abused physically, emotionally, any which way. And it's not fun. It is not. I'm telling y'all this because if any of you that are watching that this is happening to, I would love for y'all to hear our story. For it to help you guys in y'all's path and dreams in y'all's life. Because you're not alone. It's happening to us too.
We lost our parents at an early age, and then, you know, the rest is history. We started having issues of our own. Growing up without family. We're orphans, guys.
And when you take care of an old person, you take care of an old person like a baby. They're not as small. You can't put that's how I see it. You take care of them like you do a toddler.
Yes.
Pretty much. Besides all that,
back to what you were saying with
when I was in high school,
in the children's home,
actually,
all that stuff.
Let's take it back. When I was in junior high, I did most of my stuff in junior high. I had a pretty good junior high year. I tried doing cheerleading when I was in junior high. I tried out. I did good. I had good grades. Every time I would get a report card, I would always get upset because I was on the AB honor roll, yes, but I always had 1C. That was even in high school too. I don't know why, but I look back and it was like, you know, I tried. I had good grades. There's nothing wrong with that. I got upset when I didn't make the cheerleading squad.
Ready? G-O, let's...
Ready? Stop. Go.
Ready? G-O, let's go. Cats. G-O, let's go. Stand up, crowd, feel the beat. Help us show, then you'll repeat. Let's go, cats. Let's go, cats. Let's go, cats.
Go jump.
Me too. And I tried out all the time. And I did it as a little kid.
But when I got in high school,
when
I got in high school, you guys, I actually did it. But I was excited because of the mascot. So I tried doing mascot when I was in high school. And I did a little routine to the song Sexy and You Know It. And then I did another song. I forget what the other song was. But it was fun. But the thing is, reading the rules and regulations of being a mascot, they can't. I'm short. I am 4'7". The outfit did fit me, the mascot outfit, but they can't make it to where they can hem it up, to where
it was kind of like one size fits all. And if you're short, you're just short.
The mascot hat was big. I was way too over flooding. So that didn't really work out.
But we did band.
I did band. 6th grade is when you try out and you get a part of it. You figure out, the band teachers let you figure out what instrument suits
That's
you.
in 5th grade.
Well, I mean, 5th grade. That's what they do in 5th grade. 6th grade is when
You have your own little concert
you
band.
say, I'm going to use me as an example. I was a trombone. I figured that out when I was in 5th grade. 6th grade is
Sixth
when
and
you
seventh.
get your final instrument of a trombone. You learn how to play it, and then you
You do that 6th grade and 7th grade.
have concert and you have marching. And oh my gosh, they were
That's
fun.
not till 8th grade.
Marching is 8th grade, and you get to be in the high school band. When you're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you have concert. And it is fun. If any of you
The
know-
marching part is fun. Concert was boring to
and
me.
if any of you guys out there don't know what Sandy Lake is, it's an amusement park where a lot of bands go.
Alley Cat's fun too.
Never been to Alley Cats, but
We did.
When I was in school in junior high, we went to Sandy Lake, and it was fun. And this is weird, off the wall, but when we was standing in line waiting for our turn to play, they have a tree that, it's a thing. I don't know why it's a thing. It's a tree full of gum. I don't know. So
Where?
all of us in the band, whoever was like chewing gum at the time, you could go literally put your gum on the tree.
Swear.
And I thought that was kind of cool. It was different, even though it was nasty, but I got to put a piece of gum on that tree. And being in the band, I was a little of a band nerd, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And the thing about being in band is you go on trips.
You do.
I got to go to Disney and experience Disney in
Oh
Florida.
my gosh. That
In
was
2016. I don't know what year you went.
I forget what year I went. It was sometime my 7th or 8th grade year.
I believe that was my sophomore years, 26.
Or I could take that
The
back.
end of my sophomore, beginning of, or maybe it was my junior year.
It was
I
sometime.
think it was my junior year.
I can't remember, but it was like right before my freshman year, if not sometime when I was in high school. It was super fun.
It was very fun.
And my 8th grade year, right before, I do remember this. It was right before my freshman year in high school. It was during the summer. My history class at the time, if you loved history, if you wanted to be going on a trip, the high school counselor at the time, her son was in my grade at the time, and he also went too, and we all went on a trip to Washington, D.C., and oh my goodness, it was a time of your life. It was an experience.
I didn't want to do it.
I took a whole bunches of pictures. It was so much fun. We got to see where Abraham Lincoln sets the statue, where Martin Luther, oh my goodness, I had chills and got to say I had a dream right where he stood in front of Abraham Lincoln's monument. When I did that and said that, it was awesome. And I got to stand in that tall, I forget what the building's called, but it's a tall building. You go up it and there's like a window you can look out. And there's like a waterfall in front of it somewhere. And it was fun. But on that trip, we almost, I'm jealous and a little upset, but I'm not as much because we still got to see it, the White House. We almost got to take a tour of the White House, and at the time, the president was, everybody knows, Obama. And when something major happens, you got to do your job. And that's what Obama was doing. He was doing his job. Literally could have gotten to meet him. But didn't at the time because something happened. That was the year the oil spill happened. So he had to focus his time on that, talk about it with the press. When we was there, our Miss Hennig, the school counselor, she was like, you guys look, they're all in session talking. And I was like, how you know that? They're like, look at the top of the White House, they got, when they're in session and having a meeting, they will raise there's a flag. And we got to stand out in front of the White House, take pictures. There is a gate around it. And, when people do talk about Washington, D.C., the White House on news, on the news, yes. When you're at the White House, yes, there are people there protesting in front of the White House. When we went on that trip, there was tons and tons of people standing out in their little groups protesting about different things they wanted to protest about. With all that being said, it was a good, fun trip. I also did track and field.
I only did that my 8th grade year.
I chose to do a bunch of
discus.
I chose to do a bunch of my events that I wanted to do, extracurricular activities, during junior high because, I don't know. I'll get to high school in a minute. I was very athletic. I did basketball for a little bit. I was a post. I know I'm short, and I was back there by the goal. But our coach at the time, he thought that I was a good basketball player, so that's why he put me there, because I moved all over the court. And after that, I did track. And during the summer, our other coach that did track, he did a little track camp. We did a track camp during the summer, and I went to it. I did shot put and discus. I did okay in it.
I did discus
and
the 100-meter dash, which why they had me in that, I don't know. I should have did cross country. That's what I should have done.
I did good in it. I still have my medals and I still have my number from when I was in that little track camp. Somebody on our team, they didn't show up, and our coach, he was a good coach. His son was in my grade, in my class. He asked everybody on our team, anybody want to do the 200-meter dash? No. Lo and behold, he comes to me. And I'm that person that doesn't mind helping out. I am a kind, sweet-hearted, loving 200-meter dash. Did good, got 9th. After that, I went into high school. I really didn't do nothing my freshman year, but my freshman year I did FFA. I showed a pig, which was a hamp. His name was Oreo. He was the run of his litter. I got 9th in the Hill County State Fair. It's a small little fair that they do in Hill County in Hillsboro. That's where they have it. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. Then my sophomore year, I got to go to prom, got invited by a friend.
I went my freshman year. She took me.
I went my sophomore year.
And then my junior and senior year. I didn't go my sophomore year.
My sophomore year, they did a night in France. I didn't really do nothing when I got in high school other than band. I was still in band when I was in high school. I pretty much didn't really do anything because I wanted to focus my time on band. I was still working in the nursing homes.
You went to cosmetology while you were still in high school.
I did.
And
I could have still been doing stuff with the nursing home, getting CNA. I could have went to college with that. They would have helped me with that. When I started working there and I tasked at the nursing home, the director, she was talking to me. She goes, when you get a junior, senior year and you still want to work with us, we can help you get a scholarship to go to college if that's what you want to do. I chose to stay in band and end up going to cosmetology school. I went to cosmetology school at Hill College in Hillsboro my junior, senior year. I went in the middle during the summer and got to finish up like 5-6 months before I graduated, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. And that's what I did when I was in school.
I was telling her when she graduated, instead of going to Dallas, we should have found a place in Itasca, and I could have finished my 2 years, graduate, and we would have already had a place in Itasca.
Excuse me.
And just been in Itasca, but I hate that didn't happen. We ended up going to live in Waco, and that's where bad decisions happen.
With all that being said,
and now we're trying to move back.
And all through high school, it was, I want to say, walked across the stage, I got to wear a red thing around my neck. And it was for giving blood. I gave blood because one person didn't want to. So I asked Miss Hennig and got permission from my house parents at the home. And I, from there, did it all the way through my senior year and got to wear a red, they call it a red cord, and it's around your neck. But after that, there's this lady that works at the home. She works with all the juniors and seniors about what they want to do after they graduate and stuff. She was telling me at the time there's a home in San Antonio, and it was like the home in Itasca, but they were switching it. And well, on top of that, I was supposed to go to this home in San Antonio. It was gonna be like the one I went to in Dallas. They just started making it. That didn't work out, so I ended up going to the one in Dallas when I found out to get help to get on my feet, and it's for young adult women. But on top of that, I was there for 2 years and got out.
Then
It was like the beginning of April of 2017. I moved into the apartment in Waco.
It was before April.
I was in there April 1st of 2017.
Well, she was in the apartment a little bit before me because I had to graduate high school. And I hate myself for even moving to Waco. We just got hung up with boys and letting them control us.
Let me tell you, boys, I know we're all young, we're teenagers, we're young adults. Boys are not everything everybody thinks they are made up to
and
be.
Don't let a boy come between your sister or your brother or anybody that is your family. Friend. boys are not worth it. And I had to learn that the hard way. We both
Yes.
did. And we both made bad decisions.
All
And
I'm going to say is...
And it
in
led
this-
to her getting pregnant, and she could tell you about that.
I was in the apartment a little bit before she was. Being said about Waco. Waco's a good part of town, you know. We moved in the apartments. I was there a little bit before she was, my sister. She moved in, graduates. We stay there for a little bit together. We get into boys.
Don't do that.
Don't. It's not really worth it. I'm still there for a little bit. The guy she's talking to at the time,
And this all happens the summer of 2017. We
Yes.
only stayed together for the summer. And then she moved out. When we should have been kicking the guys out.
Yes.
But we were listening to what the guys had to say.
I moved out. The guy she's talking to comes back one day with a guy. He's another classmate. The guy she's talking to is my classmate too. He brings in one of our classmates I haven't seen in a long time. I used to have a crush on him back when I was in the 2nd grade. Besides the point. Really wasn't worth it.
Nope.
He's
And
bad
ended up,
shape.
needless to say, we wasted a lot of time on guys.
I did a lot
Or
of things.
how do you say it? You know, it's not necessarily we were being hung up over guys. We were trying to be wanted by somebody. We just wanted to be wanted.
Yes. But with all that being said, I hung around him too long and didn't realize. He was one of the first guys I fell in love with. If I ever
she doesn't need to be.
I didn't need to, and I do realize that now. I'm a lot better off now than I was. I thought I was being an adult when I moved. Something happened major with the guy she was with. And I got upset and
I
scared.
moved home at the end of 2019. She was still with that guy.
I moved out, was still with the same guy for 2-3 years, and a bunch happened in between. Best way to say it, I was running the streets thinking I was running the streets. If you been in the streets, it's not everything is made up to be. A lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to flat out say it the nicest way. Drugs, you can get made up in being a hoe, and a bunch of other things. And it's not fun. I tried it all. I moved around from house to house. Not fun. I lived in and out of hotel rooms. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I did it a little bit, but
When I moved back, I will sit there and tell you, the only thing that I had, and I was scared asking my sister, but I did it anyways.
she asked me, but I found a place. I keep
asked-
telling you that.
I asked her if we could be roommates.
I don't really remember you asking me.
Well,
I remember seeing something in Valley Mills, and I was in the break room at McDonald's, called
But
her up,
anyways.
and then I told her about it, and she wanted to think about it.
When she called me, I was going to call her, but she called me first. But anyways, I was surprised when she said it's okay for us to be roommates. I wasn't expecting her to say yes or no. I was expecting her to say no. Because I kept pushing her away through a lot of shit. And she's still here. I love her. I hate the shit that I did. Excuse my French. I'm just going to flat out say it. I did a lot of crap. And getting mixed up with drugs is not the best place and thing to run to. It's not your friend, not your family, nothing.
Makes you broke, and everybody leaves you, and you
What
lose
I
everything.
had Literally. It's embarrassing of even talking about it and saying it. All I had when I moved back in with my sister, clothes, myself, and hygiene.
She lost everything.
I have nothing. Because when you get, and I'm just going to flat out say it like this.
Yes, but people were doing you wrong. It's not that you were losing your stuff. They were doing you wrong.
Don't ever get mixed up with
and
drugs.
if they get mad at you, they just throw your stuff away.
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's hard coming and moving back and changing. Despite all that being said, this guy, he would bring breakfast burritos to us, and he started talking to me, this guy, old man did. He works with the company Bobcat.
But it's because my sister is way too friendly. And I'm telling her till this day.
I was messed up on stuff, and I don't know, I started talking to him, and it led on to me having a son. And my son is the greatest blessing in my life. I would do any and everything for my son. I have a great relationship with him. I would never abandon my son, never look at him wrong. And he
is with people that we grew up with.
When I was in the home, I was with this couple for 7 years, if not more. And I consider them as family. And their oldest daughter is my age, and her husband are helping me take care of him. And I love showing y'all about my son, him doing his sports, based t-ball and soccer. He loves it. I do not ever look at him and think of the past. I look at him and he makes me happy. I look at him and I'm always thinking of, every step I make and every choice I make is for him. And that's what I should be doing. I want to do better, want to make better choices, because I want him to follow my footsteps in making good choices.
And on making good choices, we are trying to do better for ourselves, for her son. I hope to have kids someday.
And right around that...
But I feel like people still look at us like, oh, they made bad choices. I look at them different. I don't trust to talk to anybody because people just blab my business.
And I
just feel like people still think we're going to go back to it, and we're not. We've learned from our mistakes. I just feel like people still think we're going to go back to it, and we're not.
And it is hard. Hard. The last little time I had with my ex-friend, whoever you want to call him, I got in connection back with my mom's sister and reconnected with her. Maybe it was for the right thing, because I feel like it is. I always think God puts people in our lives for a reason. And after he ended up knowing my cousin. She's our cousin. by adoption. Our aunt adopted her. But anyways, I said something about them, and to his mom, actually. And she was like, you said them? And I was like, yeah, they're my family. And so I went over there and knocked on their door. Nobody answers. They're up there in age, so when they're home and they're sleeping, it's hard for them to wake up and hear things. When I went over there for the first time and met them and reconnected, it was different. It was like when I walked in their house, it was like I seen all of us when me, my sister, and our cousin was little, running around playing like it was yesterday.
I don't remember any of it.
And then at the time, I was also working at McDonald's. And at this time, I didn't even know I was pregnant. Did not. I would always complain my back was hurt. My lower back area was hurting. And nothing, my sister, she would come see me every so often.
When I could figure out what she was up to.
And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the couch and was watching, y'all know it's a great movie. I didn't realize there's a second one until Nutty Professor 2. I was eating dinner. I got up from eating dinner, was taking my plate to the kitchen, and found out that I was pregnant. I was sitting on the couch, and right before I was sitting on the couch, I felt a little flutter. I was like, oh my gosh, nothing. I went to the bathroom and was like, okay, I'm spotting all this and that. No. Did a pregnancy test and was definitely pregnant. I didn't realize until I was 5-6 months pregnant, but he's my greatest blessing.
And I always told her, why didn't you tell me the minute you found out? We could have found a place back together, and she probably would have still had her son. Her staying in her situation led to her not having her son today. But she still gets to see him, and that's what matters.
Me reconnecting with my mom's sister in Hillsborough helped me tremendously. Yes, I didn't have to go to rehab. They could have said, CPS could have sat there and told me I could have went to rehab. Didn't. I did my rehab time there at my aunt and uncle's house in Hillsborough, and I did everything that I was supposed to. And
but my cousin's wife, which is my aunt's son's wife, she was saying that as long as you stayed with our aunt and uncle in Hillsborough, you were never going to get to see him. He was never going to go over there.
I tried looking for a place there in Hillsborough at the time to have my own place. They didn't really have nothing. So I was originally calling about...
I found something, and that's how we got back to Valley Mills in 2020.
That was when I was getting ready to call her, ask her to be roommates, help me look for something. She calls me first. That's how that played out.
Yeah, with all that being said, I thought we were getting him back. We set up the whole room. It looked great.
When I say
and then they had no intention.
When I say I busted...
of giving him back.
Oh my gosh.
I don't...
You know, we all make mistakes. And I will flat out tell you, if you've never been to jail, don't ever go. Because I was on stuff so bad. I did things. I stole from freaking Walmart. And I'm just going to flat out say it like that. $137 worth of merchandise. Clothes and hygiene.
And I remember telling her, because I went and saw her one day.
Don't do it.
She wanted me to help her still. And I said, I'm not helping you.
If you really...
And I said, the longer you do it, it's going to catch up to you. And my son's foster family's mom told me to my face, because my sister stayed over there for a little bit and then I did. She said, your sister's going to wind up pregnant or in jail. And let me tell you, we're not talking about our business to put it out there, but you did both. And we've learned from it. And if you can sit down and talk about it, then
everybody
you have grown.
Everybody learns differently. And I've learned I have to do something in order to learn from it. And by Holy God, I don't care. I learned. And I always tell myself, I'm not ever going back. I got out. People that I was inmates in with, they were all telling me, don't get out. If they tell you you can get out and get on deferred probation, don't do it. Because people that get out, they make the same habits, they hang out with the same people,
yes, but
make bad choices.
Because they go back to the same ways and the same people.
I sit there and told them to all of their faces, it's the decisions and choices you make.
I got out there. Time she stayed over there with her aunt and uncle for a little bit.
I got out.
And then I called her.
And proved everybody wrong. It was hard. I was on deferred probation for a year. And what deferred probation is, if you do everything you're supposed to, they call it deferred probation. Meaning, you can get off as fast as you can if you pay it off. I was on it for a year. I was on it almost a year because I got off of it a month early because
You finished paying on it.
I finished paid on it a month early. I did that. It was not fun, but I did it.
With all that being said,
And if you don't have a car, it is hard. I learned from all my mistakes.
We both have. And then we got back home in 2020. And why we wanted to come back home to Valley Mills is beyond me, because let me tell you, family don't really care.
They don't. And yes, with everything.
Yes, my cousin did help us a little bit, but it's like they say, oh, we don't mind helping. We're here for you. And they literally act some type of way about it. Why are you saying you can help us and stuff? And then act some type of way. And then throw it in our face.
Yes. Back to when my sister says she has issues with trust issues. I have problems with that too. It takes time now to get to know a person, to make friends, to even...
Yes,
but... To even be a boyfriend or a husband with. I have trust issues, even with my family. I don't really like explaining myself or... saying I need help
and that's another thing. Why are we always the ones explaining ourselves and nobody else explains themselves? They want to know what we're doing, but God forbid if they tell us what they're doing. And we started hanging out with our old house parents, and I eventually broke down and said, "What's up?" Because it was like 2-3 years ago we started, hanging out with them again and stuff, getting them back in our life. And I love them to death. Don't get me wrong when I say all this. We started hanging out with them again about 4th of July of 3 years ago. And, well, we're always the ones going over there. There'd be times where we could barely have gas money to go over there. And it's like, okay, there's something that's got to give. Well, sometimes they would pay for us to go out to eat, or they'll give us gas money to get, there and stuff. And they have a granddaughter that we know, and she does dance recitals. And we went one time, but we didn't have the gas money. And it's like, I'm not going to hang out with people so we can mooch off of them or they could give us some money.
Right.
And then when... I think I can trust her. I'm not saying their names, but I sit there and tell them, because they used to be our house parents, and then they went to the guys and been their house parents in the children's home in Itasca. Well, that's how we know them. It's like, doesn't matter who I talk to. It's like I feel like I can trust my aunt's son's wife. That was a bust.
It's hard to...
I started... Hold on. Okay. I started talking to them, our old house parents again, and telling them not everything, but just, slightly something. And it's like, she makes it about herself. When I start telling my problems, and like, they want us to always come over. Like this year, we got over here to Meridian, and it's like they wanted us to come over, and it's like, well, we live further away now, and that's gas, and we're struggling. And then she just goes into a whole list of why she's struggling, and it's like, she's just a prime example that when we try to tell people our struggles and stuff, they make it about them. They bypass us. When I was at McDonald's, I was bypassed as a manager. I was trying to say, hey, look, I'm having an issue with this employee. We need to do something about it, or this is what's going on. Well, you're just as at fault as them. Like, literally bypassing what I had to say. I'm tired of being bypassed. That's why we made this podcast, and we named it MisUnderstood. So people that are misunderstood can relate to us, can listen to our podcast and be like, yeah, their story's kind of like mine. It's similar to mine. I want y'all to be able to relate to us. And it's like, I literally told them, like, you only coming over here because they gave us an air conditioner, because when we were in our 2 portable buildings, which if you have seen our MB vlogs, you've seen the buildings, and it was hot, and we didn't have the money to get air conditioner, so they bought us one. And then she told my sister that she didn't even have it paid off. I'm like, why are you giving us something that's not even paid off?
At the hospital, and I was in the waiting room, and she literally asked me, are y'all gonna get rid of that air conditioner? I was like, probably not. I don't think so. We might need it in wherever we might move to. And so she started bugging my sister with, I need to come over. I need to come over and come pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Yes, and she did it for like 2 months. She'll talk about it, and then I'd give her an answer, or I'll say we're at the house or this or that. Then she would like not talk for a little bit, or she would quit talking about it. She would bug me about this air conditioner. And then when we finally got over here, that's when she was really bugging us. She had her husband come and get it. Because when she kept bugging me, I just said, well, if you want it, you need to come and get it. Because I think she wanted us to come bring it to her, and I'm not doing that. You gave it to us. It's your fault you didn't pay it off. And the thing about it is, I told her, I said, your husband wouldn't even have came if it wasn't for that air conditioner. Y'all only do stuff that's convenient for y'all. And I straight said that in a text message. And she knows that we struggle, and yet she still tries. We don't hang out with nobody. We don't talk to nobody. We don't go nowhere because we struggle. And then when he came to pick it up, he's like, y'all live across the country, across the world, whatever he said. And it's like, why is that the first thing that comes out of your mouth? Like, I don't even talk to them no more, guys. Because, like, I just can't have that negativity. It's like, y'all don't want to come over here, but y'all expect us to drive all that way to y'all? And you could have said it in the beginning that apparently her husband doesn't like going to other people's houses. Well, I don't like going to other people's houses either. I get uncomfortable and stuff. You could have said that in the beginning, because the whole time from the beginning, when we started hanging out with them, they're like, we need to come over to y'all's place. We need to come over to see y'all's place and hang out and stuff like that. Quit saying that, because they set us up to think they're going to, and then they don't. Stop saying you're going to do things that you're not going to do. And then after I said all that to her about they only came over for the air conditioner, if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't even have came over. And she didn't even come with him. She had him come by himself. To me, that was kind of harassing me on top of that. So guys, we're doing it on the phone because I have to charge my computer battery. But anyways, like I was saying about going to other people's houses, we don't do that anymore because nobody wants to come and see us, and we're tired of going to other people's houses. We're not trying to put anybody out, but because nobody wants to come and see us. So it's like I'm tired of busting my butt, me and my sister busting our butt to do things for other people, go see other people, do for other people that are never going to do for us, don't really care. They use us for what we have, or they pretend to be our friend, and then in the end, it's like, so I've learned my lesson, and I pretty much summed up my whole life story up until this point. I got married when I came back. Yes, I have my struggles in my marriage, but we somehow make it work. And like I was saying, I am still looking for a job, but me and my sister are gonna be working on our origami out. Thank goodness is what it's called now. And y'all could go take a peek at that. That's pretty much my life story and what I wanted to say. There's so much more I can talk about, but I don't want the video too long, and I already know it's gonna be long, so let's wrap it up with my sister, and then there you go.
With everything being said, I have learned my lesson with everything. And it is okay to get jealous of having no parents, because I get jealous of having no parents and not having my son. But I've learned, and I've got a better relationship with him. He includes me in everything, and I show y'all. With everything being said, it is okay to have a counselor. It's okay to talk about your problems and issues with a counselor, because I approve of it, because I did counseling when I was younger.
Yes, and I used to hate counseling, but now I wish I had it. When you don't have something, when you lose something, you appreciate it more. You wish you had what you used to have, and when you don't have it, you wish you had it. It's like I didn't appreciate counseling, and now that we're older, we appreciate it more. So it's okay, like she said, to have a counselor.
But I'm gonna get off of here, all of that being said, I hope this video has helped y'all.
And we learned our lesson.
And I've learned my lesson with a lot of things in life.
Thanks for watching our MisUnderstood podcast.